Hello, beautiful being. You're watching the October energy update. There's a lot of goodness that is coming your way. So let's dive into it and get to it right away. Hello, my loves. You're watching Zane TV, where you will learn how to turn fear into freedom and ignite your life. And today we have a lot of goodness heading your way with the October energy update. As you guys know, every month I tap into the collective consciousness energetically and seek guidance from spirit about what are the things that are playing a major role in our life, so we can really navigate the path that we're on with ease, with poise, and with tranquility. And this month is no different. I have received a lot of amazing guidance, a lot of advice about the energies that are coming forth and about the shadows that are lurking in the background. And your feedback about the shadows has been incredible. People are really loving the shadow aspect of the energy update, because these are the areas where sometimes we are not paying attention to, and usually they just blindside us. And when we kind of have an idea what they are, we'll be able to navigate life much easier and much better. So let's dive into the first energy update. So the first energy update that came from spirit, and it was loud and clear, and it was very beautiful, and it is awaken your higher faculty, awaken your divine self, allow the light being of you to ground in your body. See guys, we are all light beings. We are all spirits who are residing in the body. However, the world we live in sometimes make us feel like we're separated and that things that are occurring are just crappy. And while that might be the case, when we allow the higher self to really get centered in ourselves, when we allow our heart to lead the way instead of our mind, we'll be able to open ourselves up energetically and also open our awareness to the reality that a lot of times the things that are happening in our life are not as crazy or as drastic as we might think. See guys, in the brain there is a part called the amygdala. The amygdala gets triggered when things in our life that we consider quote unquote negative occur. And when the amygdala gets triggered, what happens in our life is we trigger the fight or flight response of our brain. The fight or flight served a purpose when we were hunter-gatherers, when we lived in a time and space where things were unsafe. So you could be walking, minding your own business, and then a tiger appears or a lion appears, and your fight or flight enabled you to see things differently and react quick. Sadly, in this day and age, because we're so focused on all of the things that are happening that are making the world a terrible place to live in, we are triggering that fight or flight all the time. See, our hunter-gatherer ancestors, they didn't trigger the fight or flight on consistent basis because they didn't have Facebook, they didn't have the news channels, they didn't have TV. So they would be minding their own business, and if something caught their attention, then they become even more alert and pay attention to see what's going on. But here in this day and age, there's so much going on that sometimes we get triggered all the time. So for all of you guys who are consistently watching the news, consistently following social media, consistently doing things to keep you quote unquote plugged in because you gotta know what's going on, I love you guys, and take this advice with all the love. Your life depends on you being aware of what's happening in the world, but not letting it affect your inner state of being. Because guys, a lot of people, they don't know the difference between being aware of what's happening and living what's happening. See, if you're watching the news and you're an observer, so you have no attachment, like you could watch the news and the news is so upsetting, but you have no attachment because you're an observer, you just want to know what's going on, you will be able to watch the news, pay attention to what's happening, but not let that energy get into your consciousness and become a state within you. Most people, they sit in front of the TV and they watch the news and then they fester and then they get angry and they yell at the TV. What all you're doing when you're doing that is you're activating your fight or flight, you're activating your lower vibrational self, the self that feels separated, the self that feels attacked, the self that feels misunderstood. That's why I am not surprised that Spirit has bestowed upon us this gift for the first energy update for the month of October, which is awaken your higher faculty. Awaken it right here, right now. Simply go to the comments right now and say, I am a divine being and I am willing to awake. I am a divine being and I am willing to awake. So repeat it with me. Repeat it out loud. Say it out loud. Because when you say it out loud, when you repeat it, you allow yourself to really live in that state instead of the state that sometimes you trigger within yourself by unconsciously watching all the drama that's happening in the world, and then you're continuing to live in the lower faculties. So the first energy update is awaken. It's time to awake. Hey you. Have you downloaded my Grateful Morning Meditation? If you haven't, the link underneath this video. It's a 9-minute meditation that'll teach you the power of gratitude and turn you into an attractor magnet. Go check it out right now. And now back to the video. The second energy update, I want you guys to sit down for this one. Because man, oh man, when that energy update came, I was like, really? Do we have to go there, Spirit? I mean, really? I don't want to be the messenger of bad news. And guys, Spirit is very playful because the divine self, the higher faculty, the spiritual self, tells us things as they are because they have no attachment like we do as humans. So just the mere fact that I looked at that message as, ooh, it means that there are some things within me that I need to work on. And this message, the second energy update, was all about there is a lot happening and we need to pay attention to the warning signs. And guys, it doesn't matter what part of the world you're in. There's a lot happening because there is a globalization movement of trying to disseminate the same information and the same propaganda and the same fear-mongering across the globe. So the warning signs appear when you watch something as an observer and you're like, I don't feel that this is right. And if you allow yourself to learn how to discern and how to tap into your intuition, and that comes from awakening your higher faculty. Because if you don't awaken your higher faculty, you will never be able to discern because you're always reactive. But when you're able to look at things from a higher space and allow yourself to discern and feel your way through things instead of just going through things. So let's say you're sitting and watching the news and they said, this is the mandate that we're gonna implement across the board. Sit down, put your hand on your stomach area right here. This is your solar plexus. Put it here and close your eyes and say, does this statement hold true to me? And ask yourself and really pay attention to what your body is telling you. Because when you let your body speak to you, and you tune into your body, you will be able to notice the warning signs. And there are warning signs across the board, everywhere. We need to pay attention to them because if we don't pay attention to those warning signs, then we'll continuously live in the lower states of vibration. And when we live in the lower state of vibration, we create our reality from our lower state of vibration. And guys, if you haven't watched the video I created about the state of vibration and the scale of consciousness, I urge you right here and now, go check it out, guys, because that training is so mind-blowing. Because once you understand why you are stuck in the reality you're in, you will never go back. You will never go back. And that's what happened in my life, guys. Once I learned about the scale and I started to apply it, I never went back. And when unconsciously I manifest something into my life that I don't want, I go to the scale of consciousness and ask myself, what was my state of being when I manifested that thing? And a lot of times it happens when I let the outside trigger the inside. So I don't become an observer of what's happening in my life. I become a participant, and that's a warning sign. So look at yourself and the life you're in and see, are you a participant in life or are you an observer of life? And guys, if you are new to these spiritual ideas, all I ask you is to open your mind to the possibility that there might be something for you in this, because you would have not came to this video and you would have not been attracted to this message and watching it to this point if it was not meant for you. Because whenever I record a session, I intentionally say, Spirit, guide those who need to hear this message the most to this session and release those who don't need to hear it to the light. Now, the third energy update, this one was really interesting because this energy update ties in truly to the first and the second energy update. So the first one is awaken your higher faculty. The second one is become an observer and pay attention to the warning signs. The third update is all about when you find those warning signs, and you know that that truth that somebody is trying to feed you and make you accept and make you believe in is not your truth, it's your time to walk away. It's your time to practice self-discipline and say, nope, I do not subscribe to that idea. And guys, please, please, please understand that when I'm sharing this information with you, I am not your guru. I am not some person who knows what's going to happen. I am simply a human being who's doing the best I can to live my highest truth and sharing it with the world in the process. Because guys, what I have learned is when I'm living my own truth, is I am allowing those around me to live theirs. And that's the beautiful part about this. We're all doing the best we can with what we have. And if all of us, we enlighten one another, then man, oh man, the world we live in would be a totally different world. So back to the third message. When you discern with your higher faculty that something is not right, it is your time to practice setting boundaries, especially when dealing with people. It is your time to walk away from things that no longer serve you. And the imagery that came to me during the meditation for this energy update in specific was droves and droves and droves of people walking away in a different direction. This direction, there were like fires, literally fires and smoke. But people were walking away from the fire and the smoke. And the area where they're heading to, it's clear sky. And there are butterflies everywhere. For those of you who don't understand the symbology of the butterflies are transformational. Because a butterfly goes through the most painful birthing experience when it turns from a caterpillar to a butterfly. And the fires in the meditation signified that there's a lot of fires in life that is catching our attention. And sometimes it's easier to just go and watch the fire and see what's going on and see the smoke, when realistically we got to pay attention that these fires are something to distract us from the real beauty behind us. More people that are waking up and starting to practice discernment, and they see these fires as, oh my gosh, I've been under a spell for all this time. And they're walking away from that, and they're walking towards the light. They're walking towards the beautiful skies. They're walking towards transformation. There were blossoms of flowers everywhere where these people were walking towards. It was a beautiful scene. And that's what we get to do, guys. We get to walk away from the things that no longer serve us. And the minute we walk away from that, we will break the spell that we've been under. And that leads me to the fourth energy update. And this one was really, really beautiful. Like, I cannot wait to share this one. I cannot wait to share this energy update. See, guys, the fourth energy update was a figure watching from space down to Earth. So it felt like an astronaut watching from their spaceship down to Earth, and they saw the whole world. And when I kept meditating on this, the imagery that kept coming to my mind is you create the world that you live in through your observation. So make sure that you awaken your higher faculty, because what are the odds that the first energy update was awaken your higher faculty, and then the fourth energy update is an astronaut watching down on Earth? You cannot get any higher than that, at least for us as humans. It's like you're all the way in space. So when you look at the world from that vantage point, you will be able to see things differently, which will allow you to discern better, which will allow you to walk away from things that no longer serve you. And when you do that, oh my goodness, guys, that's when you start to manifest things in your life that really were meant for you. And that's when the world becomes your oyster. And Spirit was so intentional in sharing with me 3 guidelines to help you in manifesting the world as your oyster instead of the world that you're in. And the first guideline was make sure that you dwell in the state of joy. What do I mean by that? There's a lot happening in our world right now, guys, that joy is the last state that we dwell in. We're anxious, we're upset, we're angry, we're emotional, we're uncertain. These are the states that many people are living in right now, especially this year. It's been crazy. But Spirit has given us the guideline that if we dwell in the state of joy, by simply paying attention to what brings us joy. So anytime you do an activity, ask yourself, does this bring me joy? Does this make me feel good? If it is, do it. Keep doing it. If it doesn't, that's when you need to practice discernment, like what the second message told us. Pay attention to the warning signs. So if you started to get worked up and you feel the knots in your stomach and your shoulder tensing, and you're just like, if you're making a face like this when you're seeing something, trust me when I tell you, you're not in a state of joy. you are not in a state of joy. And the first guideline from Spirit was dwell in the state of joy and the world is your oyster. So whatever gives you the ability to dwell in a state of joy, do it. If that means going on a walk every day in the woods or by the beach or somewhere where you can unplug, do that. If that means spending time with your pets, spending time with your kids, spending time with a loved one that gives you energy and make you feel good about life, do that. If that means simply unplugging and reading a book for a couple hours, do that. Whatever you need to do to make the state of joy your most constant state is what will get you to the finish line of making the world your oyster instead of being served stuff that you really don't want. And guys, if you don't like oysters, that's just a phrase. Make the world your pancake, make the world your taco. I don't know what you like in terms of food, but it's just a way of saying it. So make sure that you dwell in the state of joy and then you manifest from a state of joy. And the second guideline from Spirit about how to make the world our oyster is have faith. And guys, I know the message of having faith, sometimes it gets on everybody's nerve because it is so simple that sometimes we just shrug it. It's like, don't lose faith, never give up, all that stuff. But it is really true, guys. When we have the unwavering faith that we're spiritual beings, that if we awaken our higher faculty, if we dwell in states of joy, if we practice strengthening our faith, then we can create anything that we want in life. And I mean anything. And guys, for those who don't know my story, I was born and raised in Baghdad, Iraq, in the middle of the 80s. At the midst of the Iraqi-Iranian war, and lived my entire life in that country in a state of uncertainty, turmoil, and war. And what got me through this was my faith that there is something big coming from all of these learning lessons. And there is something huge coming from them because now, as a human being, all of these experiences have allowed me to see life differently. So now when I serve you guys with these trainings and with this material, I'm sharing with you that everything you're going through, it has a purpose. And if someone like me can take the atrocities of war, of death, of killing, of rape, of kidnapping, and all of the other ugliness that I witnessed as a child and a young adult and turn it into a masterpiece of transformation, then nothing in your life you cannot turn around and transform. But it all starts with a small little seed of faith. And here on this channel, the biggest thing I want to teach people is how to turn fear into freedom and ignite their life. And faith is one of the ways to turn fear into freedom and ignite your life. And you can practice cultivating your faith in multiple ways. You can recite scripture, you can go into prayer, you can meditate, you can practice gratitude, you can practice visualization. These are all things that you can do to really uplift your energy to the vibration of faith. And if you guys really would like to combine meditation and prayer and faith and gratitude in one beautiful practice, then I created a meditation called the Grateful Morning Meditation. It's a meditation that you can play for 9 minutes a day, first thing in the morning, that allows you to dwell in the states of joy, faith, freedom, gratitude, happiness. And when you activate that state first thing in the morning, then you allow yourself to run for the rest of the day with that vibration. I highly encourage you, go down underneath this video to the description box, download that meditation, and you will be amazed at the results that it will create in your life. It's the meditation that I practiced every single day, and I still practice it to this day. Because guys, energy practice and cultivating our faith and our state of joy, it's a daily practice. It's like bathing. You shower every day because you don't want to stink up. The same is with your spirit and your mind. So don't stink up your spirit and mind by doing things once in a while. Make it a daily practice. Have the discipline to discern that these type of practices are key to awakening your higher self, to dwell in states of joy and gratitude and faith instead of fear and doubt and resentment and hatred. So that's the second guideline. And the third guideline actually made me smile so hard because just earlier this month, I've done a reading for us and the message of curiosity came about. And Spirit was very intentional in saying that the third guideline for us to create the world that we want and to make the world our oyster is to have the curiosity. Because when we're rigid and we think that things should be this way and this way only, we block our ability to enjoy the things that we want in life. And if you guys really want to dive into the message of curiosity a little bit deeper, I don't want this video to get too long, so I will link to the reading where I talked about curiosity. But for this video, I just want to highlight that if you really want to dwell in the states of joy and faith, be curious. Awaken that childlike curiosity. Be like a cat. Everything is new and everything is awesome and everything is worth a try. And that's how you create the world that you seek, not the world that you're stuck in. All right, guys, now let's transition to the shadows. Every energy update always have shadows because shadows are the blind spots that sometimes are bubbling under the surface and we're not even aware of them. So the first shadow that came about is the shadow of unforgiveness. There is a lot that is happening in the world, guys, and we really need to start forgiving. And I know the topic of forgiveness is very difficult and very touchy, and many people, including me, when they hear the topic of forgiveness, they immediately shut down, and that's okay. That's actually a protection mechanism, because when we not forgive someone and we hold on to that pain that they inflicted on us, it's our way of protecting ourselves. Now, the sad truth, guys, and if you are honest with yourself, please let me know in the comments. I'm going to be honest with you here. Every part of my life that I hated and held on to, I wind up manifesting again in a different scenario. So I became very cognizant when I'm feeling animosity toward a person, or where I feel triggered about a certain thing, I immediately go and do my forgiveness practice, because I don't want to hold on to the energy of what happened a year ago or 10 years ago, or sometimes even as long as 30, 40, 50 years ago. I don't want that energy to be here in the present, robbing me from creating the world that I seek, not the world that I'm stuck in. So practice forgiveness. Unforgiveness is a shadow that many people don't pay attention to, and they sometimes even block it, like, okay, this person was an a-hole to me, and they just block it. But if the energy of it is still within you, it's there. So pay attention to that, guys. The second shadow is actually the shadow of attachment. What do I mean by the shadow of attachment? Everything in life we go through, there are two ways to go through it. We can either go through it as observers, which mean we see things, but we have no attachment to what could come out of these things, or we approach them as participants and we attach our feelings, our emotions, our well-being to that thing happening in this way or that way. And attachment is a shadow because a lot of times we have certain expectations about our lovers, about our partners, about our bosses, about our kids, about ourselves, and we attach specific value to how these people, including ourselves, should behave. And when we have those attachments, we set ourselves up for disappointment. So pay attention to where are you being clingy and attached to a certain outcome and a certain thing, and start practicing being an observer. Because guys, please don't misinterpret this message as me saying like, oh, just don't have any goals and dreams and just let things flow. BS. Because if you want to create your world and have it as your oyster, you got to practice discernment and make sure that your state of being is a state of being of joy and faith and curiosity. So I'll never be a person who tells you like, oh, just let it be. No. You let it be by making sure that your energy is in the right place, and then you let go of attachment and let your higher self and spirit concoct the most benevolent way for it to manifest in your life. So attachment is a deep, deep, deep shadow that many of us struggle with. Even for me, guys, I've been doing personal development work and self-development work for years. Since 2006, I've been on this journey. And to this date, sometimes I have certain attachment and expectation. And whenever I notice that, I take it as a warning sign, go into deep meditation state, cultivate the state of joy, the state of gratitude, the state of being present, and let go of the attachment. And the last shadow, and this one is going to hit home for many people, is the shadow of the lover. And so in that scene of the meditation, I kept seeing that many people are really not giving themselves the permission to experience love. And love is experienced in multiple ways, guys. Many people, they think that love is only something that you experience when you're in the perfect relationship with the perfect human, and perfection doesn't exist. So a lot of times we are setting ourselves up for disappointment. We're attaching ourselves to a person that does not exist. So the scene of the lover had two prongs to it. The first one is self-love. Start practicing self-love. Start allowing yourself to love yourself enough that you will cut toxicity out of your life, that you will walk away from things that no longer serve you. And also start practicing self-love to a level where you can allow a person who is that loving and that intentional in being present with you to come into your life. And guys, if you are currently in a relationship and the person is not your quote unquote ideal person, you can make that person your ideal person by working on yourself. You create the world that you're living in by creating it inside, in your heart, in your mind, in your soul, by living it on the inside and manifesting it on the outside. There were many relationships in my life that were toxic, and I healed them by actually me releasing the attachment and allowing myself to be present. And there are certain people who were toxic that I completely cut out of my life. But there are some who were toxic because I was holding to toxicity about them. And the minute I released that toxicity and started to see them in a different light, these people changed. And guys, remember, you're not interfering with anyone's free will. You're not sitting in a meditation and say, I want my boyfriend to be this so I can love him more, or I want my wife to be like that so I can accept her more. No, you're not doing that. You can never interfere with another human being free will. And if you do, you'll pay for it. Trust me, you will pay for it. Karma is a B. But when you're going into that state inwardly, imagine that person in their best self. Imagine that person awakened. Imagine that person loving. Imagine yourself releasing all of those negative attachment that you had about them completely. Imagine you two conversing with joy, with faith, with curiosity and funness of life, and dwell in that state. That's how you transform the energy of the lover with yourself and others. So these are the 3 shadows, guys, and these are the energy updates for the month of October. I really hope that you guys enjoyed them. If these messages resonated with you, please give this video a big thumbs up. And I highly encourage you to share this with a friend or a family member who might be going through something in life, and these messages could be just what they need to break through to the next level. And I also urge you guys to watch this video multiple times because I unpacked a lot of material for you guys. And remember, if you want to cultivate an attitude of gratitude and allow faith and freedom and forgiveness to be part of life, go to zanebaker.com and download the Grateful Morning Meditation. All right, guys, I love you so much. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you later this week with another video. Till we speak again, may the rest of your life be the best of your life, and namaste.